Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're all about train travel. Specifically, we're talking about Interrail in Europe.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool way to see the continent, right? And we've got this awesome guide, the Ultimate Interrail Guide 2025, to help us break it all down.
Definitely. This guide is like our roadmap. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. 33 countries in Europe, over 30,000 destinations, all accessible with one ticket.
It's a pretty incredible concept when you think about it.
Absolutely. So, for anyone listening who's maybe dreamed about backpacking through Europe or even just taking a multi-city train trip, this is for you.
For sure. We're going to unpack everything you need to know to decide if Interrail is right for you. We'll cover the different types of passes, look at some amazing route ideas, figure out how to travel on a budget, find the best places to stay.
Oh, and we can't forget about the train reservations. Those can be a little tricky.
Right. And then we'll wrap things up with some super helpful resources to make your planning even easier. Apps, websites, all that good stuff.
Sounds good. So first things first, what exactly is an Interrail pass?
Basically, it's a train pass that gives you unlimited travel on most trains across those 33 European countries, all within a set time period. So instead of buying individual tickets for each leg of your journey,
You've got this one pass that covers you for a chunk of time.
exactly. It's ideal for people who want to visit multiple destinations and have some flexibility in their itinerary.
Okay, that makes sense. But hold
Yeah.
on, is this just for people who live in Europe? What about those of us who, live elsewhere but dream of exploring Europe by train?
That's a great question. So Interrail is specifically for European citizens and residents, but don't worry, there's a very similar option for non-Europeans called Eurail.
Ah, okay, so Eurail is for everyone else.
Yep, pretty much the same concept, just a different name depending on where you're from.
Got it. So let's dive into these Interrail passes, the global passes specifically. The guide talks about two main types for 2025, flexi passes and continuous passes.
Right. With the Flexi Pass, you get a certain number of travel days that you can use within a specific time frame. Like you could get a pass with, say, 7 travel days to use within 1 month.
So if I'm understanding this right, I could take a train trip on Monday, explore a city for a few days without using the pass.
Exactly. And then use another travel day on Friday to head to your next destination. You're not using up those travel days while you're just chilling in one place.
Oh, that's actually really flexible. I like that.
Yeah.
What are the options and prices for those flexi passes?
So the guide lists a few. 4 travel days within 1 month for 181 euros, 5 days within 1 month for 204 euros, 7 days within 1 month for 244 euros.
Okay, so the price goes up as you get more travel days, which makes sense.
Yep. And it goes up to 10 days within 2 months for 285 euros, and then 15 days within 2 months for 353 euros.
Those prices actually seem pretty reasonable for the amount of travel you're getting.
Oh, and one more thing. These prices already include a 15% discount.
Oh, wow, even better. So those are the flexi passes. What about the continuous passes?
Continuous passes are for the true train enthusiasts, the people who want to be on the move constantly. They give you unlimited travel for a set number of consecutive days.
So if I wanted to spend like 2 weeks just hop from city to city, taking a train every day, this would be the way to go.
Absolutely. And you wouldn't have to worry about counting individual travel days or anything like that.
Freedom on the rails. What are the options for continuous passes?
Let's see. You've got 15 days in a row for 304 euros, 22 days for 374 euros, 1 month for 444 euros.
Okay, I'm starting to get the pattern here. The longer the time period, the higher the price.
Right. And then you have 2 months in a row for 527 euros and a full 3 months for 610 euros. The guide actually says that the 2-month pass is the most popular choice.
That's interesting. Maybe people figure 2 months is a good sweet spot between seeing a lot and, not being on the go for too long.
Yeah, it's probably a good balance for most travelers.
Now, I also noticed the guide mentions a one-country pass. What's that all about?
Well, some people might want to just focus on one country, really explore it in depth, maybe visit smaller towns, go off the beaten path a bit.
So instead of covering all of Europe, it's just for one specific country.
Exactly. And the prices for those one country passes start from just 58 euros.
Not bad at all. It's like choosing your own little adventure.
Exactly. It really depends on what kind of trip you're envisioning.
Okay, so we've got these different pass options, but is there like a best time to buy them? Any special deals going on?
Well, as we mentioned, those flexi and continuous pass prices already include a 15% discount, but there's a special promotion running right now, actually.
Oh, tell me more.
If you buy any global pass before April 1st, 2025, you get an additional 15% off.
Wow, so it's like a double discount. That's a pretty significant saving.
Definitely. So if you're even remotely thinking about Interrail next year, it might be worth grabbing your pass now while this promotion's still going on.
Good to know. Now, the guide also breaks down the pricing by age. What are those age categories and who gets the discounts?
So you've got youth, which is for anyone aged 12 to 27. They get a pretty good discount. Then there are children aged 4 to 11 who also travel at a reduced price. And for the more seasoned travelers, you've got the senior category for those 60 and over.
Ah, so there are discounts for younger and older travelers. Makes sense.
Yep, the standard adult fare applies to everyone in between, from 28 to 59.
Okay, so you've picked your pass, you know your age category. What happens next? Do you get like a physical ticket or is it all digital these days?
You actually have a choice. They offer a mobile pass, which is super convenient. It lives in the Interrail app on your phone, so you can manage everything digitally.
Ah, that's handy. No need to worry about losing a paper ticket.
Right. But if you prefer that old school feel, you can still opt for the traditional paper pass.
Okay, so you've got options. Now, this is something I've always been a bit confused about. Where exactly can you use your Interrail pass? Can you travel in your own country with it?
That's a common question, and the answer is generally no. The main idea behind Interrail is to encourage international travel within Europe. So typically, you can't use your pass for journeys within your country of residence.
But what if I live in, say, France, and I want to start my Interrail trip by taking a train from Paris to, I don't know, Amsterdam? Can I use my pass for that first leg within France?
Ah, good point. There is an exception for global pass holders. You are allowed one outbound journey from your home country at the start of your trip and one inbound journey back home at the end.
Oh, that makes sense. So I could use my pass to get from Paris to the French border and then continue my journey from there.
Exactly. But keep in mind, these journeys need to be within one travel day. So if you have multiple train connections within your home country, you need to complete those on the same day.
Okay, I'm getting it. And what about those one-country passes? Where are those valid?
Those are simple. They're only valid for train travel within the specific country you choose. So if you get a one-country pass for Italy, you can travel all over Italy by train, but that's it.
All right, country restrictions covered. Now let's talk about how you actually use your Flexi Pass. What are these travel day rules all about?
So a travel day on your Interrail pass runs from midnight to midnight Central European time. On any given travel day, you have unlimited train travel within the countries covered by your pass.
Unlimited, huh? So I could theoretically hop on and off as many trains as I want within that 24-hour period.
As long as your legs can handle it. Yeah, the idea is to give you the freedom to explore without worrying about individual tickets. And remember, for those with Flexi Passes, only the days you actually travel and board a train count as one of your travel days.
Right, so if I spend a few days just hanging out in one city, those days don't count towards my total travel days. It's only when I actually use the train.
Exactly, you got it.
Okay, so we've got a good handle on the Interrail Pass itself. Now let's move on to the fun part, planning our dream route. The guide offers 4 top interrailing routes for 2025.
Yeah, these are great starting points for inspiration.
What's the first one?
The classic Grand Tour. This one hits some of the most iconic cities in Europe: London, Paris, Munich, Venice, Rome, and Barcelona.
Whoa, that's like a whirlwind tour of Europe's greatest hits.
It is, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how long you want to spend in each place. It's a fantastic option for first-timers, for sure.
It would definitely tick off a lot of bucket list items. Eiffel Tower, Neuschwanstein Castle, the Colosseum. I can see the appeal.
For sure. It's a classic for a reason. Okay, next up is the Nordic Odyssey. This one's a bit different.
Oh, tell me about this one. I love anything Scandinavian.
This route takes you through Copenhagen, Stockholm, Oslo, and Bergen. It's all about stunning Scandinavian design, those breathtaking fjords, and if you're lucky, maybe even the Northern Lights.
The Northern Lights by train. That would be magical.
It's a completely different vibe compared to the Grand Tour, that's for sure. This one's for people who love nature, design, and a bit of that Nordic cool.
And how long does the Nordic Odyssey typically take?
It's designed for about 10 days, give or take a few.
Okay, got it. What else do we have?
All right, for those who want to explore the history and charm of Eastern Europe, there's the Eastern Europe Explorer.
Ooh, I've always wanted to visit Prague.
Well, this route includes Prague, Budapest, Krakow, and Dubrovnik.
No, that's a history-packed itinerary. Prague Castle, the Hungarian Parliament building, The walls of Dubrovnik.
You got it. This route's great for history buffs, architecture lovers, and it often offers really good value for your money compared to some of the more Western European destinations.
That's good to know. And what about the last suggested route?
Last, but definitely not least, we have the Mediterranean Sojourn. This one's for those who love sunshine, beautiful beaches, and ancient history.
Sounds right up my alley. Where does this one take us?
It starts in Nice, then goes to Florence, and ends in Athens. Think of it as a journey through the heart of the Mediterranean.
Ooh, I can picture it now. Relaxing on the French Riviera, admiring the Renaissance art in Florence, and then exploring the Acropolis in Athens.
Exactly. It's a perfect blend of relaxation, culture, and history.
These suggested routes are great, but I imagine some people might want to go beyond the big cities and explore those hidden gems, those less traveled corners of Europe. Does the guide offer any inspiration for that?
Absolutely. They have a whole section dedicated to the 25 most scenic train routes in Europe for 2025. These are journeys where the train ride itself is part of the adventure.
Oh, I love that. So it's not just about getting from point A to point B, but about enjoying the journey itself.
Precisely. And they've categorized these routes by region, so you can easily find something that fits your interests.
All right, let's dive into some of these scenic highlights. What stands out in Northern Europe?
Well, in Scotland, you've got the train from Glasgow to Mallaig. It takes you through the breathtaking Scottish Highlands. Imagine rolling hills, rugged mountains, maybe even spotting a Highland cow or two.
That sounds idyllic.
And this route actually connects to a ferry that takes you to the Isle of Skye.
Wow, so you get this amazing train journey and then a scenic ferry ride all in one.
Exactly. Another cool one in Northern Europe is the overnight train from Stockholm to Narvik. It crosses the Arctic Circle, so you might get a chance to see the Northern Lights if you're lucky.
Oh, I remember you mentioning that. That would be incredible. Sleeping on a train under the Northern Lights. What else is there?
Well, for something a bit different, there's the train journey from Copenhagen to Malmö. It's unique because it crosses the Øresund Bridge, which is this massive bridge connecting Denmark and Sweden.
I've seen pictures of that bridge. It's quite impressive.
It is. And even the seemingly simple route from Berlin to Copenhagen offers some lovely views as you travel through northern Germany and along the Baltic Sea coast.
Okay, Northern Europe's definitely got some scenic train journeys covered. What about Central Europe? What are the highlights there?
Central Europe is full of charming train routes. One that stands out is the Mainz to Cologne route, which takes you along the Rhine Valley.
I've heard amazing things about the Rhine Valley. All those castles perched on the hillsides.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. And the train journey gives you a front row seat to all that beauty. Another historic and scenic route is the one from Vienna to Graz. It travels over the Semmering Railway, which is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Wow, a train journey that's also a World Heritage Site. That's impressive. What makes it so special?
Well, it was built back in the mid-1800s, and it was a real feat of engineering at the time. It features these impressive viaducts, tunnels, and stunning mountain scenery as it climbs over the Semmering Pass.
It sounds like a history and engineering enthusiast's dream.
It definitely is. And if you're looking for classic alpine scenery, there's the train from Interlaken to Lauterbrunnen in Switzerland. Picture-perfect lakes, towering mountains, cascading waterfalls. It's everything you imagine when you think of the Swiss Alps.
Oh, that sounds absolutely breathtaking.
It is. And then, of course, there's the legendary Bernina Express. This one runs from Chur in Switzerland to Tirano in Italy, and it's famous for its panoramic views of the Alps. It's one of those train journeys that people travel from all over the world to experience.
Yeah, the Bernina Express is definitely on my bucket list. Okay, those are some fantastic options in Central Europe. What about Eastern Europe? Any hidden gems there?
Eastern Europe is full of scenic train routes that are often overlooked. One beautiful journey is the one from Prague to Gießen. It follows the Elbe River and takes you through this region called Bohemian Switzerland.
Bohemian Switzerland. That sounds intriguing.
It is. It's known for its sandstone rock formations, dense forests, and hiking trails. The train journey gives you a glimpse of all that natural beauty. Another scenic route in the region is the one from Banská Bystrica to Marjikany in Slovakia. It cuts through the low Tatras Mountains, offering dramatic views along the way.
Those mountain routes sound pretty spectacular.
They are. And for something a bit different, there's the train from Jesenice in Slovenia to Nova Gorica. It passes through Triglav National Park and the Julian Alps.
I'm starting to sense a theme here. Mountains and trains seem to go hand in hand.
It's a pretty great combination, isn't it? You also have the route from Usty nad Labem to Warsaw, which travels through Poland's Eagle's Nests Landscape Park. It's a region known for its medieval castles perched on limestone cliffs.
Wow, so you get history and scenery all in one.
Exactly. And then there's the line from Vatra Dornei to Bistria in northern Romania, which offers a glimpse into the Carpathian Mountains.
Okay, so we've covered Northern, Central, and Eastern Europe. What about Southern Europe? What does the guide recommend there?
Southern Europe has its own unique charm when it comes to train travel. For example, the journey from Porto to Pinhão in Portugal takes you through the Douro Valley, which is famous for its vineyards.
So if you're a wine lover, this is the train for you.
Absolutely. You'll see those terraced vineyards stretching along the hillsides as you wind your way through the valley. Another interesting route in southern Europe is the one from Jaca to Canfranc in the Spanish Pyrenees. It features this magnificent historic train station that's now a hotel.
Oh, that sounds like a great place to stop for a night.
It is. And then there's the Naples to Palermo route in Italy, which is quite unusual because the train actually boards a ferry at one point to cross the Strait of Messina.
Wait, the whole train gets on a ferry? That's incredible.
It is. It's not something you see every day. For those who love coastal views, there's the Pisa to Nice line, which hugs the Mediterranean coastline for much of the journey. Then you have the Belgrade to Bar route, which travels through the Dinaric Mountains and down to the Adriatic coast, offering some truly dramatic scenery. And finally, the Sarajevo to Mostar line in Bosnia and Herzegovina follows the Neretva River Valley, known for its stunning turquoise waters.
Okay, Southern Europe definitely has a lot to offer in terms of scenic train routes. What about France? The guide mentions it separately.
France has some really beautiful train journeys as well.
Right.
The route from Clermont-Ferrand to Nimes takes you through the Cevennes region, which is known for its rugged mountains, forests, and lakes.
I've heard that the Cevennes is a bit of a hidden gem in France.
It is. It's less crowded than some of the more popular regions and offers a real sense of wilderness. Another unique train journey in France is the Yellow Train, which runs from La Tour de Carol to Villefranche-Vernay-les-Bains in the Pyrenees. It climbs quite high in elevation, offering fantastic panoramic views.
All right, I'm starting to feel like I need to add a few more weeks to my Interrail trip to fit in all these amazing routes.
I know, right? And we haven't even talked about the overnight train journeys yet.
Oh, you're right. What does the guide highlight for those who want to maximize their travel time by sleeping on the train?
Well, one cool option is the overnight train from Helsinki to Kolari in northern Finland. This one offers a real chance to see the aurora borealis, or northern lights, during the winter months.
Oh, I remember you mentioned that earlier. That would be an unforgettable experience.
Definitely. And then there's the route from Dombås to Åndalsnes in Norway, which showcases the dramatic Rama line and the towering Trollveggen rock face.
Okay, I'm definitely adding that one to my list. So we've got these specific scenic routes, but what if I have a particular theme in mind for my Interrail trip? Does the guide offer suggestions for that?
Absolutely. They have a few themed routes that cater to different interests. For history buffs, there's the historical journey, which links major historical centers like Berlin, Prague, Vienna, and Budapest.
Ah, so you could spend your trip delving into the rich history of Central Europe.
Exactly. For those who are drawn to the coast, there's the Coastal Beauty route, which takes you along diverse coastlines from Lisbon all the way to Split.
Wow, that's a long stretch of coastline. You get to see all different types of beaches and seaside towns.
You would. And then there's the Mountain Explorer route, which is perfect for those who love hiking, stunning views, and fresh mountain air. It takes you through the Swiss Alps, the Tyrolean Alps, the Julian Alps, and even the Tatra Mountains.
That's quite a mountain range tour.
It is. And finally, there's the Cultural Capitals route, which links some of Europe's most vibrant cities: Amsterdam, Brussels, Paris, Madrid, and Lisbon.
Ah, so this one's all about museums, art, architecture, and delicious food.
Exactly. It's a great way to experience the cultural heart of Europe.
These themed routes sound fantastic, but even within these routes, I imagine there are plenty of smaller, lesser-known destinations that are worth adding to the itinerary.
Oh, absolutely. The guide has a whole section dedicated to hidden gems worth adding to your itinerary.
Can you give us a sneak peek at a few of these hidden gems?
Well, have you ever heard of Lake Bled in Slovenia? It's this incredibly picturesque lake with a small island in the middle, and there's a church on the island.
It sounds like something out of a fairy tale.
It really is. Another hidden gem is Sintra in Portugal. It's a town full of colorful palaces and gardens, and it has this magical, almost mystical atmosphere.
I'm adding that to my list right now.
And then there's Eski Krumlov in the Czech Republic. It's a perfectly preserved medieval town with cobbled streets and a beautiful castle overlooking the Vltava River.
Okay, I'm sensing a pattern here. These hidden gems all seem to involve castles.
Well, Europe does have a lot of castles. And for something a bit different, there's Ghent in Belgium, which is known for its charming canals and medieval architecture. And then there's Bologna in Italy, which is a foodie paradise and home to the oldest university in the world. Kotor in Montenegro is a stunning walled city on the Adriatic coast. And if you're looking for something truly picturesque, there's Colmar in France, which is like a real-life fairy tale village.
These all sound incredible. I'm definitely getting to do some more research on these hidden gems.
Oh, and I almost forgot one of the most famous hidden gems, Hallstatt in Austria. It's this tiny village nestled on the shores of a lake, surrounded by mountains. It's incredibly picturesque and often referred to as one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Okay, I'm officially convinced. I need to plan an Interrail trip ASCP.
Okay.
But before I get carried away, let's talk about some practical route planning tips.
Yeah, the guide has some really good advice on that front. First off, they emphasize the importance of considering travel time between destinations. It's easy to get excited and want to cram in as much as possible, but it's important to be realistic about how long it takes to get from one place to another by train.
Right, especially if you're working with a limited number of travel days on a FlexiPass.
Exactly. And they also recommend finding a good balance between visiting bustling cities and exploring smaller, more tranquil towns. It's all about finding the right mix for your travel style.
I like that. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of big cities, but sometimes those smaller towns offer a more authentic and relaxing experience.
Absolutely. And another important tip is to be aware of potential reservation fees on certain trains. We'll talk about those in more detail later, but it's something to keep in mind during your route planning.
Okay, so factor in those reservation fees. What else?
They really stress the importance of planning a logical geographical route. This helps you make the most of your time and avoid unnecessary backtracking, which can eat into your travel days and increase your overall costs.
That's a really good point. I've definitely been guilty of not planning my routes sufficiently in the past.
It's a common mistake.
Hmm.
And they also recommend building in a few buffer days into your itinerary. This gives you some flexibility in case of unexpected delays, or if you simply fall in love with a particular place and want to stay longer.
Oh, I love that idea. Buffer days are key for those spontaneous travel moments.
They are. And they also remind you to consider the time of year you're traveling. Some destinations can get very crowded during peak season, so it's worth thinking about that when you're planning your route.
Especially if you're someone who prefers to avoid the crowds.
Exactly. And don't forget to look into local festivals or events that might be happening during your trip. Those can add a really unique and memorable dimension to your travel experience.
Oh, that's a great point. I hadn't even thought of that.
And finally, they can't stress enough the importance of using the Interrail app for checking train times, planning routes, and staying organized.
Yeah, the app sounds like an essential tool for any Interrail trip.
It really is.
Okay, we've got our potential routes mapped out. We're feeling inspired. But now let's talk about something that's always on everyone's mind when it comes to travel. The budget.
Yeah, budget is a big one. But the good news is that Interrail can be surprisingly affordable if you plan strategically.
The guide has a whole section on budget travel tips. What are some of the key takeaways there?
Well, they start off with some general money-saving tips that apply to any type of travel, not just Interrail. For example, they recommend taking advantage of free walking tours, which are offered in most major European cities.
Yeah, those are great for getting your bearings in a new place and learning about the history and culture without spending any money.
Exactly. And they also emphasize the importance of planning your routes efficiently to avoid unnecessary train journeys and backtracking.
We touched on that earlier, but it's worth repeating. Those extra train rides can really add up, both in terms of time and money.
Absolutely. And for those longer distances where train travel might take an entire day, they suggest considering budget flights as an alternative, but always remember to factor in the cost of getting to and from the airport, which can often be quite expensive.
Right, and airports are usually located outside of the city center, so you have to factor in that extra travel time and cost as well.
Exactly. And they also remind you to be mindful of your spending on things like alcohol, which can easily blow your budget if you're not careful.
Especially in those European cities where the beer and wine flow freely.
Right. And they also suggest looking into city tourist cards, which often offer discounted access to public transportation and major attractions.
Those can be a great value if you're planning on doing a lot of sightseeing.
They are. And for getting between cities, they mention ride-sharing services like BlaBlaCar as a potential alternative to trains, especially if you're on a tight budget.
I've heard of BlaBlaCar, but I've never actually used it. How does it work?
It's basically a platform that connects drivers who have empty seats in their cars with passengers who are heading in the same direction. It's often much cheaper than taking the train, and it can be a fun way to meet locals.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to check it out. What other budget tips does the guide offer?
They remind you to always carry a reusable water bottle, as tap water is generally safe to drink across Europe. This can save you a lot of money on bottled water, especially if you're spending a lot of time exploring cities on foot.
That's a great tip, and it's environmentally friendly too.
Exactly. And if possible, they recommend choosing accommodation with kitchen facilities so you can cook some of your own meals. This can make a huge difference to your overall food budget.
Yeah, eating out for every meal can get expensive, especially if you're traveling for a longer period.
It definitely can. All right, those are some general budget travel tips. But what about tips that are specific to Interrail?
Yeah, I'm curious about those.
Well, the most important one is to choose the right type of pass for your intended travel style. If you're primarily focusing on exploring a single country in depth, a one-country pass is likely to be far more economical than a global pass.
That makes sense. Don't pay for what you don't need.
Exactly. And they also remind you to take advantage of that 15% discount on all global passes before April 1st, if that fits your plans.
We talked about that earlier, but it's worth mentioning again. Those discounts can really add up.
They can. And they also suggest trying to avoid trains that require mandatory seat reservations whenever possible.
Ah, those pesky reservation fees. We'll get into those in a bit.
We will, but for now, just know that you can often save money by opting for regional trains instead of the high-speed ones.
So it might take a little longer to get to your destination, but you'll save some money along the way.
Exactly. And another great tip is to utilize overnight trains strategically. Not only do they save you travel time during the day, but they also eliminate the cost of a night's accommodation.
Double win.
Right. And they also emphasize the importance of packing light to avoid any potential baggage fees on connecting transportation.
Yeah, those baggage fees can sneak up on you.
They can. And they also remind you to use your allocated travel days on a flexi pass wisely by grouping your train journeys together as much as possible.
So instead of using a travel day for a short hop between cities, try to combine multiple train journeys into one day to maximize the value of your pass.
You got it. And they also can't stress enough the importance of downloading and using the Interrail app, which can help you find routes and times that might not require reservations.
That app seems like a must-have for any Interrail trip.
It really is. And finally, they remind you to bring your student or youth ID if you're eligible, as you can often get discounts on various attractions and activities.
Always good to have those IDs handy. Okay, those are some great Interrail-specific budget tips, but let's be honest, food is often a major part of any travel budget.
It is. And eating out for every meal can get expensive pretty quickly.
What are some tips for food and dining on a budget while you're on your Interrail adventure?
Well, the guide recommends embracing the local markets and supermarkets. Not only are they a great way to save money, but they also offer a fantastic insight into local food culture.
I love browsing those local markets. You can find so many unique and delicious things that you wouldn't find in a regular supermarket back home.
Exactly. And they also suggest not being afraid to try street food. It's often incredibly tasty and very budget-friendly.
Yeah, street food is a great way to sample the local flavors without breaking the bank. What else do they recommend?
They suggest keeping an eye out for restaurants offering a menu of the day, particularly at lunchtime, as these are usually a great value.
Ah, yes, the menu of the day. It's like a little culinary adventure for a fixed price.
It is. And packing a picnic to enjoy in a park is another great way to save money and soak up the atmosphere of a new city.
Oh, I love that idea. Picnics are so much fun, and they're a great way to take a break from all the sightseeing.
They are. And finally, they suggest exploring apps like Too Good To Go. Have you heard of that one?
I have. It connects you with restaurants and bakeries that have surplus food at the end of the day, and you can buy it at a discounted price.
Exactly. It's a win-win. You save money, and you help reduce food waste.
Okay, so we've covered food. What about finding free and low-cost activities to keep the entertainment budget in check?
Well, the guide recommends researching museums beforehand, as many European cities offer free entry on certain days of the week or during specific hours.
Oh, that's a good tip. I didn't know that.